Long before the Nubians ruled Egypt, they had already built one of Africa's most powerful civilizations. The Nubians came from Nubia, a region south of Egypt located in present-day Sudan. This land, rich in gold, iron, and trade routes, gave rise to the Kingdom of Kush, an advanced African society that rivaled Egypt for centuries. Initially, Nubia was influenced by Egyptian culture through trade, warfare, and religion. But influence did not mean submission. By the 8th century BCE, Egypt had fallen into political chaos. Weak pharaohs ruled fragmented territories, temples were neglected, and foreign influence crept in. Meanwhile, Kush grew stronger, more unified, and militarily confident. At the heart of this rise was King Piye, a deeply religious and strategic leader. Viewing Egypt's instability as both a threat and an opportunity, Piye marched north with his army. Unlike typical conquerors, Piye claimed he was restoring divine order, not invading. He defeated local rulers one by one and demanded loyalty rather than destruction. By around 744 BCE, Piye had successfully unified Egypt under Nubian control. For the first time in history, a powerful sub-Saharan African kingdom ruled all of Egypt, from the Nile Delta to Nubia itself. This marked the beginning of Egypt's 25th dynasty, also known as the era of the Black Pharaohs. The Nubians did not erase Egyptian culture. Instead, they embraced it, seeing themselves as true heirs to ancient Egyptian traditions. This ideological approach would define their rule and set them apart from foreign invaders who came later. Following Piye's conquest, Nubian rulers governed Egypt as legitimate pharaohs. Kings such as Shabaka, Shebitku, and Taharqa ruled with authority, stability, and religious devotion. Among them, Taharqa stands out as the most powerful and widely known Nubian pharaoh. The Black Pharaohs invested heavily in temple restoration, particularly at Karnak and Luxor. They revived ancient rituals, respected the priesthood, and promoted Egyptian identity, sometimes more strictly than native Egyptian rulers before them. Their reign was seen as a spiritual renaissance, a return to tradition. Militarily, the Nubians were formidable. Taharqa expanded Egypt's influence into the Near East and resisted foreign powers. However, this ambition drew the attention of the Assyrian Empire, one of the most brutal military forces of the ancient world. Repeated Assyrian invasions weakened Nubian control over northern Egypt. Despite fierce resistance, the Kushite rulers were eventually forced to retreat south around 656 BCE. Egypt fell into Assyrian influence while the Nubians returned to Kush. Though they lost Egypt, the Nubians did not disappear. Their kingdom flourished for centuries afterward, shifting its capital to Meroe, where they developed a unique writing system, iron industry, and monumental architecture. The fall of the Black Pharaohs was not a failure. It was the end of a remarkable chapter where African rulers restored and preserved Egypt during one of its darkest periods. Nubians versus ancient Egyptians. While Nubians and Egyptians shared the Nile River and many cultural traits, they were distinct peoples with unique identities. Geography and origins. Egypt developed in the Nile Delta and northern Nile Valley, while Nubia grew further south in harsher terrain rich in minerals. This shaped Nubia into a warrior-trader society, while Egypt became more centralized and bureaucratic. Culture and religion. Both societies worshipped similar gods, such as Amun, but Nubians placed extraordinary devotion on him, believing their kings ruled by divine mandate. Nubian rulers often viewed themselves as purifiers of Egyptian religion rather than imitators. Military tradition. Nubians were renowned archers, feared across the ancient world. Egypt relied more on chariots and organized armies. When Nubians conquered Egypt, it was through military strength combined with religious legitimacy. Political structure. Egypt favored long dynastic continuity, while Nubia allowed greater influence from royal women. Nubian queens, known as Kandakis, wielded immense power, a contrast to Egypt's male-dominated rule. Architecture and legacy. Egypt is famous for pyramids, but Nubia built more pyramids than Egypt, though smaller in size. Nubian pyramids reflected both Egyptian inspiration and African innovation. In essence, Nubia and Egypt were siblings, not copies. When Nubians ruled Egypt, it was not foreign domination. It was African leadership reclaiming the Nile. Why this story matters today. The story of the Nubians ruling Egypt reshapes how we understand African history. For centuries, colonial narratives downplayed Africa's role in world civilization, portraying greatness as something imported rather than indigenous. The Black Pharaohs prove otherwise. They show that African societies were capable of empire, diplomacy, religion, and monumental achievement long before European contact. Nubia's rule over Egypt challenges racial myths and restores historical balance. In today's world, this history inspires movements in education, Afrocentric scholarship, and cultural identity. It reminds Africans and people of African descent that leadership, innovation, and statecraft are deeply rooted in their past. Globally, it pushes historians to rethink rigid boundaries between North Africa and Sub-Saharan Africa. Ancient Egypt was not isolated, it was part of a wider African world. The legacy of Nubia teaches a powerful lesson. History is not owned by one culture. When forgotten stories are reclaimed, they reshape identity, confidence, and the future. History teaches that greatness is not owned by one people or place. When suppressed truths are rediscovered, identity is strengthened, confidence is restored, and future generations gain the power to challenge false narratives and reclaim their rightful place in the world.
Narrativia, where words weaves wonders.
Like, share, and follow for more.
This content was generated with the assistance of artificial intelligence for storytelling, narration, and visual presentation purposes. While care has been taken to provide an engaging and informative experience, some elements may be dramatized or simplified. The video is intended for entertainment and general educational use only. Viewers are encouraged to enjoy the presentation and independently verify facts, conduct their own personal research, and form their own conclusions. The creator assumes no responsibility for interpretations or actions taken based on this content. Thank you.